Thank you for watching our video. This show is sponsored by DreamStream. DreamStream is a unique platform where creators can monetize their video content. All creators rely on support from people like you. Join us on the DreamStream platform to support your favorite creator and view the episode without any adverts. Follow the link in the description for a how-to guide. DreamStream, a place where you can create yourself.
Hello and welcome to the Good Vibes Only show right here on DreamStream. I'm Kgoroeadira. Thank you so much for tuning into the show for another edition of an amazing one. Now today I am joined by Iman Mtshali. She is someone that is doing amazing in the fashion industry and she's here to share those nuggets with us. Iman, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me.
Only a pleasure.
So, like, I always ask my guests this question, and they hate it, I know, but it's just to give our viewers context on who the person is that I'm interviewing.
Okay.
Tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Iman? Where you're from? Share your nitty-gritties with us.
Okay. So I am from Durban, KZN. Originally from Dundee, but I grew up in Durban, moved here during my varsity days, and yeah, I've been based here ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when during that space did your love for fashion and design then start?
I've actually been into design, fashion, and art since high school.
Yeah.
To be honest, probably even earlier than that. When I was in high school, I started doing like a bit of pieces and mainly streetwear, though. I started off with streetwear. Funny enough, yeah. I mean, now you could never tell because of what I make. But I started off designing streetwear and sneakers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when, and then it blossomed to evening wear.
And then that transition, let's get into that because I'm fascinated.
Yes.
I thought you were always someone that just did
Evening wear, no.
So how did that transition then come about?
I'm actually also pretty intrigued by that. I just feel like with time, the older I got, the more I started being more fascinated by evening wear. But I obviously did already love designers like Zuhair Murad, Alexander McQueen, which mainly Alexander McQueen was casual, and you could find evening and mixes of that. So I think gradually after my teenage years, I started loving evening wear.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now let's get into the establishment of Iman Sheikh Apparel. When did that now start?
That started in 2016 and then solidified 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 2016, I actually left my job, my corporate job, and I just thought, okay, you know what? I'm not happy here. I'm an artsy at heart.
Yeah.
And I'm a fashion designer. I've always known that I wanted to be a fashion designer. So I just thought to myself, what am I doing here? Let me just start my brand and push my passion, which was Iman Sheikh. So yeah, 2017, beginning of 2017 is when everything actually started establishing.
And how did those that were close to you receive that though? Like your mom, for example. How did she receive you leaving corporate for something of this nature?
You know what? Naturally, I feel like families of color, okay, they are always skeptical of the arts. They're always worried about, do you have a backup plan? You have to have studied this, which I did. I had a backup degree.
Okay.
I always call it a backup degree
just
because just a just in case degree before going for my actual passion. So that was their main worry. Like, okay, is this a career?
Yeah.
They don't see the arts as a career.
Yeah.
Even when I told them actually that I wanted to be a fashion designer, they were like, are you sure? Maybe you can actually be maybe you can do interior design.
Okay.
Why not study interior? Because they thought, okay, that sounds like a career as
Something more
opposed to
tangible.
fashion design.
Yeah.
But my mom, funny enough, has always rooted for me. I
Okay.
could be a pilot. I could say, let's go and fly
Yeah.
a helicopter. She'll say, let's go.
Oh, that's nice.
So at least, yeah.
So now the transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it not a bit challenging? Obviously, there's certain things that you faced during that period. I mean, leaving something that is so structured as your corporate job into this arts. How was that transition for you?
Scary, exciting, challenging, of course, because I left my security blanket,
Yeah.
my salary, and in the arts, we don't just get a set salary.
Yes.
We can't say every month, oh, this is how much I'm gonna have. This is what I can do. So it's quite a challenge, and it can feel.
Need a photo studio? The Dreamstream Photo Studio includes a 2.7-meter PVC backdrop in black and white and is available for only 115 rands per hour. You can also rent a Canon R6 and lights. All rentals are for studio use only. Terms and conditions apply. Contact studio at dreamstream.co.za.
Thank you, Ben, for coming out tonight. My name is Son of Augustine.
You can actually feel like this is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You can feel demoralized and start questioning, why did you actually do this? But at the end of the day, I would just say push through. Push through, especially when you start feeling like giving up. That's actually when you need to push yourself even more and motivate yourself even more, because right before I wanted to give up, actually, that's when I started getting my breakthroughs. That's when I started getting my clients, building a clientele, and then eventually I got the opportunity to be one of the designers for Miss South Africa, which was a very big deal for me.
Yeah.
It was like a dream come true, because every time I watch Miss South Africa, I'm like, one day I wanna see my garments on the stage. And when it happened, I just knew that, yeah, your dreams are valid. Your dreams are really valid.
Yeah. Now let's speak about your client base, your clientele. You touched on that. How were you able to build? I always ask people this question that have, established businesses. How were you able to build a clientele that now trusts your work and your brand and is then loyal to what it is that you do?
So honestly, there's no formula
Yeah.
to that. Obviously, there's just no formula whereby you can say, oh, this is what you do, and it's just a trial and error. For me, mainly, I started off on social media advertising my garments. A lot of it was word of mouth, and a lot of it just became having a relationship with people, and then they'd pass on, okay, this is the designer that made my garments.
Yeah.
And they'd obviously say, okay, this is the relationship I have with the designer. Everything came on time, everything was done on time, which is what I've always made sure to do. I can never ever say I've not finished someone's garment or it wasn't done on time, because I know that word of mouth, it travels. And if you've got a reputation of not finishing garments on time, disappointing clients, that's a slippery slope. And so I've just always tried to maintain that. If ever someone feels the need of, okay, can you change this? I'm not happy with that. I gladly have to do it, because I have to make sure that your money, you feel like this is a worthwhile investment, because buying a garment is an investment.
Yeah.
So
And I was going to ask you that, how you deal with negative feedback. Because, I mean, oftentimes there'd be people that aren't quite happy with
of
the
course,
final
of course,
product. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
So I would say, lucky enough, I've always had clients that I've had a great relationship with.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might say, or can you add this? Can you change that? But I've just never had a situation whereby I just feel like, oh my gosh, I would say, okay, I've had situations where I'm so nervous because the client is a person that you know
Yeah.
is strict, or they want certain things done
In a
a
particular
certain
way.
way, very particular.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're happy.
Yeah.
And that's what matters to me. Yes, there are times when I always laugh and I'm like, I haven't slept because I've got a fitting tomorrow. So I'll think about it like, okay, I've got a fitting. Will this person be happy? You know, I'm just that type of person. But once the fitting is done, they're happy. I'm at peace.
And what are your fondest moments through your journey? I mean, you touched on Miss South Africa.
Miss
So
South
that was
Africa,
huge.
very big for me.
Yeah.
I did a traditional wedding when I just started. I was really surprised at the fact that the clients trusted me.
Yeah.
But that was a fond moment as well for me, because I made a garment for the bride and for the groom. I made traditional suits. So that was, yeah, that was one of my happiest moments. I also did another wedding, but it was a white wedding.
Yeah.
And another traditional wedding. So those were like moments for me where I was like, oh wow, they want me to be a part of their special day. So it meant a lot to me. Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite fashion designers? And why? I want you to include why as well.
Let me say Orapeleng, because he's a South African designer. Of course, let me start there. Love, love, love Orapeleng. And why? I find his pieces very classy, things that I would make. I can relate to his work because I feel like when I see his work, I see things that I would make. And when I started going to fashion shows, I have my fondest memories of watching his shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely an absolute favorite. Zuhair Murad. And I love Zuhair Murad because of the
On my feet, the underdog, and I won't be beat. Turn the lights up now, welcome to the show. I ain't never
Are you a musician?
I know. My eyes on the prize until I die. I'm gonna rise.
The Dream Stream Music Studio is now available on Sundays for only 295 rands per hour.
We work for a fall in line. We gon' give it our all until the end of time.
It includes a 12-channel desk, a variety of mics and cables, electronic drum kit, and a laptop for recording. Terms and conditions apply and booking is essential. Contact studio at dreamstream.co.za for a site visit.
Arabic
Yes.
pieces, the Arabic looks, and I love that type of style. Which also I feel like it sets me apart because I didn't mention, but in my background, my mom is Pakistani. So she's mixed with Pakistani and she's colored, and my father's Zulu. So I feel like a lot of like my inspiration comes from also having that kind of background that's like the mixed cultures. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of like the Eastern, Arabic, South Asian type of looks that inspire me a lot. So yeah, Zuhair Murad. Who else? Alexander McQueen. He has passed, but I absolutely love his work. He's very creative.
What else sets you apart? You did mention that your Arabic touch tends to set apart what it is that you do. But what else is it that sets you apart from other designers' offerings?
So when I started off, I always said I want to design for a curvy woman like me.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of my inspiration was I want to make curvaceous women because a lot of women who have a curvy kind of look, like a smaller waist or a bigger back area, you know, that kind of body, they felt like they didn't fit in couture, which is what runway fashion, it makes women look at that fashion and feel like I don't fit here. Like, so these looks aren't for me, and they are for us. And I see now a lot of designers are leaning towards making curvy women feel like they belong, because they do belong.
Yeah.
Most of my clientele are curvy women. So why aren't they being celebrated and shown on the bigger platforms of fashion?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that is also what set me apart when I started.
Now take us through the creative process of putting together a garment. What is it that you look into? What is it that goes into the entire process of making sure that the final product is exactly what the client wants?
So I always have consultations with my clients. A lot of them love sending pictures, inspiration, and say,
Yeah.
oh, this is what I love. But I always do say, I can't replicate. I don't like replicating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just sketch my own from maybe what they will break down and say, okay, this is what I want, off shoulder. This is the style I don't want. And obviously I also will advise, like, okay, this
Great.
works. Yeah.
Because
This
there's
will
some
work.
people that will
This will not
come.
work. Exactly. And they'll send something that Beyonce wore,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, I want this. And I'm like,
Ganti, it's not gonna work.
exactly. And I'm like, especially with this particular shape,
Yeah.
we can't get this outcome. So let's snatch this, let's fit this, and try it this way. So yeah.
But now, how do you create that balance between what it is that the client wants and not losing the core of your brand?
I just feel like you already know after sketching and adding your touch, like what you want to stick to
Yeah.
and what makes a garment your own. With me, a lot of people notice that I love beading. I love like with the net, with okay, it sounds technical, but with like mesh. I love a skin tone mesh, and some designers get it wrong in terms of making the mesh not match the client's skin tone. And a lot of my clients have said they've noticed that I make sure that the skin tone matches.
Yeah.
And it's my thing. Like, I love if a woman is brown skin,
Yes.
that color has to
Has
match
to.
her skin. It's not something I compromise. The curves, it's not something I compromise. So yeah, I think that's just what I make sure I stick to.
You're very technical when it comes to speaking of the process.
Yeah.
Did you study for this?
I actually, funny enough, did a course on
Yeah.
it, but it was an 8-month course. It wasn't like a 3-year,
Yeah.
yeah, a 3-year
Degree.
degree. No, it wasn't. But my great grandmother was a designer,
Okay.
bridal designer in Durban, and she didn't study it. So I just feel like it's something that probably skipped to,
It's in the blood.
yeah, and then yeah. So yeah, I always say it's like in the blood. Yeah.
So where do you see Iman Sheikh Apparel going further down the line? What can we expect?
I would say right now, actually, I'm working on international projects, like to get the brand onto a global stage, a global platform. So I am working with some international stylists. Yeah, so hopefully by end of this year or early next year, there's gonna be a lot of my work more out there.
Nice.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
for someone that wants to go into this particular industry, what can you say to them?
I would say take heart. Okay? Take
It's not
heart.
easy.
It's not easy. There's a lot of competition, there's a lot of pressure, and do not look around at other people's growth.
Yeah.
Focus on your own growth, because that is what's going to distract you. Don't nitpick or try to change your own style of design and style of that's what makes you unique. So just, yeah, I would always advise, don't look around. Focus on your brand, your growth, and your passion and why you got into this. Yeah.
Would you go back to streetwear?
Uh, no, a casual, yes.
Yeah.
But if it were to be streetwear, definitely the sneakers, I would say, because that's still something I love. But in terms of turning what I do now into
Yeah.
streetwear, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
No.
Iman, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having
I
me.
truly appreciate you.
Oh, only
I
a
want a
pleasure.
garment myself.
Definitely, definitely. And you're like the perfect, that
Yeah.
runway model, height and size.
Thank you so much.
Only a pleasure.
And to your viewers, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Until next week.